Hey guys, so I'm going to be making a pretty quick video here on my experience changing over from my factory RNS 315 head unit in my 2014 Volkswagen Jetta TDI to going to the RCD 360 Pro 2 head unit, mostly so I can finally get my Android Auto because, I've never had a vehicle that had it, and I finally experienced it in my sister's car a while back and kind of loved it. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, time for an upgrade, right? This is gonna kind of go over, a little bit of a notice of do your fucking research before you start this shit. So with the RNS 315 and a few other models, let me just stand this up here. So this plug in particular on the back of your head unit, that is for your backup camera when you have the RNS 315 or a few other models. That is because they use a different style camera, being an RGB connection as opposed to your standard AV connection. If I had done my research enough or even bothered to take my car apart ahead of time, I would have known this, and I would have gone and saved myself a massive headache with ordering the proper shit ahead of time. So, if you're like me and didn't do it, you'll come to find out that to use your factory backup camera without having to change the backup camera itself and run a whole bunch of extra wire there, you're going to need an RGB to AV decoder. This is the first one that I'd gotten. I'm going to explain why exactly I had to change it again. But to get your backup camera to work, you are going to have to wire this in. This will simply connect to the factory plug. I'll be going over all this again with the new one in the car. And then you'll need your ground, your backup camera signal, and your constant 12 volt power. Now, going off of SumaxCon's website and their videos, they don't give you any real kind of like information on how to do this. They do and they don't. It's the most half-assed shit that I've seen. If you're watching this, you've probably come across their video and would probably say the same. One thing that I will say is I think my problem was mostly with their decoder itself. I did get my backup camera to work once with it, completely random. I literally drove home, threw it in reverse, and it finally turned on. After that, it stopped doing it. But in SumaxCon's videos, they have a couple options for you to work with. One of them is you take your 12 volt power and your reverse signal and essentially splice them together. That way both are constantly fed with 12 volt power. I tried that initially, hence the tape here, because there's still a little bit of the red wire in there. I got lazy. I didn't want to cut and put in another spade connector. I don't necessarily know if that might have fucked up the decoder or not, but I now have an entirely separate wire signal in my car for the reverse signal. I would simply say go ahead and do that for ahead of time. Don't even try any other options. Don't take the risk and potentially short something out, whether it works or not. But I'm going to jump over to the car and I'm going to kind of show you guys a little bit of a walkthrough on how I have my stuff wired up, and a little bit of a half-assed install video, and it should be pretty self-explanatory. So here we go. Alright, so we're in the car now. What I've got installed is the RCD330 Pro 2 from the SumaxCon or SCU MaxCon, whatever the fuck the company is. Ordered it off Amazon. Got it delivered. Unfortunately, found out that, yeah, I'm going to need that extra adapter because my dumbass didn't bother to pay attention. or check ahead of time if I actually had the RGB backup camera, because they do have it listed. If you've got RGB, you'll need their adapter. To show you, putting it in reverse now, everything comes online. Audio, the video quality is not exactly the best, but it is what it is. It's a backup camera. Obviously, I'm not using it all the time, just for backing into a spot. Don't exactly need to go too crazy with it. So it does have a little bit of a delay going back to whatever screen, or coming out of the reverse screen when you go back into drive, but eventually it does kick back over. So let me go ahead and power everything off and kind of show you how I got it hooked up in the back. So to go through and take care of all this, you're going to have to remove this trim panel. I've just kind of had it loose here the whole fucking time. You don't necessarily need to do this, but this little plug right down here, if you want this whole panel just out of the way, go ahead, pop this little connector out. You can set it to the side. Definitely make sure you plug it back in before starting up the vehicle again. Otherwise, you are going to get a code for, I believe, your SRS system that you'll need the VCDS software to erase. Just so you know. For the record, I will continue to stop the video for each part, considering kind of working only with one hand here. But so got the front panel off. After that, you'll have 4 screws on each corner, and then you can just go ahead, pull the whole head unit out. So because I just got done installing all of this, it's it's a little bit of a fucking rat's nest. I got to clean everything up, zip tie, and clean up all the wiring, because I'm a little OCD about my wire management. But right now, because I just got this done and this new decoder installed, it's a little bit of a nightmare. So what would come with the RCD330, you're going to have this new adapter, plugs directly into the factory adapter from Volkswagen that went into your original head unit, ties into the new unit, cleans everything up, takes care of the battery voltage drain issues that apparently existed at a time. You'll have your antenna adapter, and that's all you're going to be using. If you're like me that had factory navigation and Sirius XM, those antenna hookups are no longer going to be used, and you can just kind of tuck them in the back. But let's see if I can get the rest of this fucking nightmare out of here to show you guys. Oh, wow, it fucking went back down in there. Good. Alright. Alright, so this is what we got. This is the new RGB decoder from Crutchfield. I will say it is much more expensive than the one that you can get off of Amazon from the company Sumaxcon. Because the one from Sumaxcon was maybe $20-25 on Amazon at the time I'm making this video, and this right here was about $90 on Crutchfield's website. Obviously you get what you pay for, so I'm learning a lesson, and hopefully somebody else is going to see this video before they make the same fucking mistake that I did. So right here, at least on this one, you've got blue wire connection to the decoder. That is your reverse signal. I ran wire from my trunk and tied it into the reverse light, just a little splice connection there, and ran it all the way up the panels. I will show you that in a moment, so that way I'm not leaving anybody hanging. We've got yellow for our 12 volt power connection, constant. This is actually tied in on a little fuse block tie off right down in the kick panel there. I got to cut that zip tie, but I'll show you where that is. That's actually tied into my cigarette lighter, or the 12 volt outlet, so it's constant power when the vehicle is on, and it's not constantly providing power, possibly draining the battery when I shut the vehicle off. For my car, that is fuse number 30, I believe. To which, your vehicle may be slightly different. Definitely consult with, your fuse diagram and figure that out. But so far so good. It's working on the 12-volt outlet fuse. For this, connector, pop it in, swing the arm back, it locks it in place. To disconnect it, I'm not going to try to fuck with anything right here, but I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Take this arm, slide it forward, everything pops right out. Same with the other larger connections. And then your little AV connector, which this is going to be entirely separate from the wiring harness from Sumaxcon, but it's a little blue connector right down in there. Let's see if I can get it better. That little blue connector is actually going to be entirely separate from this harness. All it is, you just take it, slide it in straight through the back, it'll lock in place, you're good to go. But I will show you guys here in just a moment exactly where I've got my fuse block tied in and where I spliced in for that reverse signal. So right here is my little fuse block that I've got tied in. Let's see if I can get this out for you guys. All right. So all it is you're essentially using this to replace the fuse for your cigarette outlet, to which you will still, if this wants to focus, to which for my car it's 20 amp fuse, so you'll run that in the, God, fucking focus please, Jesus. Fuck it. Anyway, let's see. So with this, you'll run that same 20 amp fuse to complete that circuit for your 12 volt outlet, cigarette outlet, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then on top, it pretty much creates a parallel circuit. I've got a 10 amp fuse here to provide the protection for that decoder and everything like that in the event that there is some sort of a short somewhere, because the last thing I want to do is have to go and order another one of these things and do this shit all over again. But for that, we'll just set this right back up in there. If I can fucking get this to, there we go. And that's it. So nice, simple, easy. It's right there. You'll end up running that wiring. I have no idea if you guys can actually see any of this. But I've actually got it. Oh, actually, no, you can kind of see it right there. So that yellow wire, that black wire, running right up through the side, and there's a little hole in the side of the radio panel that you can run the wires through. My recommendation for that, if you can, take some sort of a flashlight, or like if you got a powerful LED, something like that, shine it through this section here. That way you can actually see those holes, those cutouts illuminated. You can kind of feed the wire through. It's a little bit of a bitch, but it actually seemed to help me out pretty well. As for the ground, I actually have that. I didn't tie into any specific place on the car. I just ended up running another piece of wire through that same loom. If you pop this panel off, there's a metal bracket there that I just used a single self-tapping screw and a little eye connection to create a whole extra ground. That way I know where everything's at. I can pop this cover off here in a minute and show you. But next I'm gonna kind of take you over to the trunk and show you where I spliced in for that reverse signal. So I've seen a number of guys online where they've actually come up and right here, this wire loom, that goes straight to this light section on the car, and at least as long, well, looking at it, got 3 wires here. I did it by process of elimination and testing with my meter, but that wire right there, that light and dark blue wire, right there, that is for your reverse bulbs. I've seen guys where they've run the wire all the way up the arm, through everything, and tied it in, kind of kept everything hidden. I was kind of pissed off when I was doing this, and I didn't want to, you know, keep going with all of it. So what I did was, right back in here, I found the wiring loom, and I just used a bullshit little splice connector, tied it in on that same like dark and light blue wire, crimped it down, and just set another spade connector right on the end, and proceeded to painstakingly fish this wire back up through the covers there. And that is actually running down with the wiring behind this cover, and I just have it kind of lazily tucked up underneath this paneling all the way up to the front, all the way up through here, through like behind the hood release, and then she channels over. It is a little bit of a pain in the ass, but if you've got a long enough spool of wire, you can just keep pulling it from the back of the car and everything should be good. And like I was saying, here I've got, so this end panel taken off here. All I did was a little eyelet and a self-tapping screw, drilled it straight through this bracket here. Made sure it's not hitting any wiring, anything like that. Always make sure, you know, you can kind of see where you're going with everything, because the last thing you want is to send a self-tapper through any kind of, you know, live power wire and give yourself a whole nightmare of electrical issues. But this panel, for those that don't know, is just 3 of these little tabs. You know, so 3 tabs, 1, 2, 3. Just got to kind of have to pry behind it a little bit, and then it'll just snap right off. Mine is a little bit easier because I have taken this off time and time again. That way I can keep my scan gauge 3 hooked up here and kind of tucked away and neat, and not have a whole nightmare of wires right there. So, but yeah, with running that grounds over on the panel back here, tying back in to the reverse wire signal, you are going to have to run a little bit of extra wire to get this to work, and this is strictly for the guys with the RGB backup camera from factory. If you're not changing it, it is a little tedious, because I was hoping for a strictly plug and play situation that looks factory. I know other guys have said that the RCD330, you know, is the gold standard, as opposed to the 360 like what I've got. But I'm also a little particular, and I know the RCD330 had the microphone right there. Honestly, that probably would have bothered me after a while, because I like the symmetry. I like, you know, having my buttons. I'm a little bit of a weird one, sorry. But all in all, I hope this video helps somebody else out, and kind of alleviates the situation that I've kind of put myself through and dancing around trying to get this shit to work. I'm going to go ahead and just say, if you are going down this route, don't even bother ordering the one from SumaxCon. Honestly, I probably wouldn't order this shit from Amazon anyway. That's my own fucking fault for trying to be cheap and quick and everything like that. Moral of the story, you get what you fucking pay for. Spend a little bit of extra money. Get one from Crutchfield. The one that I've got installed now is actually discontinued by Scosche. It's going to be about $100 on Crutchfield to get a proper functional decoder. Because, I mean, yeah, so just do your research. That's the best I can say. But even now, no issues whatsoever. Hope this helps.